Hello, I'm Holden Smith. I'm one of the global ambassadors, and here we're today with, would you like to introduce yourself?
Autumn Johansen.
Perfect. What's your major and where did you go?
I am a biology major here at PLU, and I studied abroad in Oxford as part of the IHON program.
Perfect. Um, just the first question to kick these off is usually a really simple one. It's why did you choose the program?
So, actually, one of the main reasons I wanted to come to PLU was for the IHON program and for the opportunity to study abroad in Oxford. One of my counselors in high school actually brought it to my attention, specifically for this study away program. So it's always kind of been on my radar. It's always been something that I definitely wanted to do.
All right. I'm in IHON too, and so I agree. That was
Yeah.
one of the reasons I came here was because of IHON, and I was supposed to be in Oxford this semester, but it didn't happen because of
Oh, I
COVID. So
know. Ugh,
yeah,
that sucks.
yeah. At least I hopefully get to go, and you had a great experience, hopefully, compared to the students that went last semester and had to come home early. I feel really bad for
Yeah,
them.
I can't imagine.
I can't either. So I know the program can be a little strange for a couple students. They've talked about that, but did you have any problems returning back and kind of having like a culture shock or anything? Because I know the UK is fairly similar to the US in a lot of respects.
Not like a huge culture shock, but I definitely almost got ran over a couple times, coming back because you have to look the other way crossing the street.
I didn't even
But
think about that.
I came back right. I came back for winter break too, so I just went home and stayed with my family.
Okay. Zachary said in the interview that the spacing was different. So when he was in the UK, everything seemed a lot smaller, and then he came back to the United States and everything was just much more spread out and large. Did you feel that same way, like just sitting in a room and the room was bigger?
Yeah, for sure. I
Hmm.
definitely felt that way too. And even how the cities were set up
Hmm.
too. Everything is kind of centralized. Everything is in walking distance.
Hmm.
But here there's a lot more emphasis on driving.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you think your experience in IHON on campus prepared you for the tutorial system in Oxford by any chance, or do you think that they're a little different and the format was a little harder to switch over to?
I definitely think that IHON prepared me for, the tutorials at
Hmm.
Oxford, especially because, well, I was in Strum's class for all of freshman year for both of the
Hmm.
intro IHON courses. And then Strum was also the site director over there in Oxford. So yeah, I think he did a good job. And we did before we left, we did, we practiced how to write an essay. And then we did one class there before our tutorials
Hmm.
started, and we really prepared there, writing the essays in the amount of time we would have to for tutorials.
Hmm.
So yeah, I felt very well prepared. And IHON, by nature, it's more you're studying what you want to. There's a lot more free reign on so you can hone in on your focuses. And I
Hmm.
definitely felt like it was the same for the tutorials too. There was kind of a lot of free range.
Kind of going off to the tutorial and I know a lot of students get to kind of design their own tutorial and get to pick. I remember before I got told I didn't get to go that I sat down with Strum and another professor and kind of
Yeah.
really got to like create a mind baby tutorial. Did you get to do that or were you kind of just given one?
So I didn't really get to create my own, but I was given options of
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to study something about the environment, and Strum sent me this page of a tutor they had there who teaches that,
Hmm.
and I looked through his syllabus, saw everything that we would read, and it just kind of worked out perfectly with what I wanted to do. So I didn't really have to create one. It was just already created for me.
What was your tutorial on?
So my primary tutorial was on environmental politics.
Okay. Are you a poli sci student only as well, or is the bio?
No, I'm a bio student, and the bio department counted that class as an upper division bio credit. So they
Huh.
are pretty flexible too with credit transfers.
I'm guessing there was no lab.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct. No lab.
yeah. Do what did you guys discuss in that course? That seems like a really interesting thing for especially students that want to talk about what environmental like policy and environmental sustainability.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting to do it in the UK too, because obviously they have different policies around like green energy.
Mhm.
Like even conservatives over there aren't like climate deniers at all. So it's, yeah,
That makes me
it
feel
was really
better.
interesting. Yeah. We talked a lot about how capitalism is set up to, benefit, the global north more than the global south, and like
Mhm.
who really benefits from climate change, and like practically like what does it look like having changes, like what do these policies look like in businesses, like how will it be, you know how do we really like set this up in real
Mhm.
life. And we also talked about like the human aspect of it too, like how people in other places view nature, like what nature means to us. And yeah, it was really interesting.
Huh, that does sound like a really interesting course.
Yeah, we kind of covered like so much in
Uh-huh.
that too.
Not just yeah, you get to talk about like the econ side of environmental studies,
Oh yeah.
the actual impacts on people and why capitalism is killing the world and all that fun little things.
Yeah, it went
Um,
from like sociology all the way to like politics and
mm.
poli sci. Yeah.
What was your secondary tutorial, if you
So
remember?
I did that one on medicine and society, which was also very interesting.
I remember that one. I think that was the course I was gonna, or the tutorial I was gonna take when that
Yeah.
was my secondary one. Do you remember a lot of what you discussed, and would you like to share?
Uh, yeah, that one actually had a lot more history in it than what I was expecting. It was like way more historical, nothing like super modern at all. So we were just talking about a bunch of like really old like medicine techniques, and like how medicine historically has been used primarily for people of like upper class. And yeah.
It would have been. I think it would have been interesting to be in that tutorial during now, during now at least, because you get to
Yeah.
talk about like the vaccine and how it's the COVID vaccine and how it's more affecting the richest people in the world and all that kind of fun stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. I think the history of medicine is a really cool idea to like look at, and I was really excited about that tutorial, but it's
Yeah,
hopefully
that
another
one was
time.
really fun.
Uh-huh. Um, did your tutorials have other students in them, or were you just the one-on-one?
So I was one-on-one, but for the secondary, Jaren also had the same class, but it was at different times. So we were still, yeah, one-on-one.
Is that did that feel threatening to you? Because I would imagine being in a one-on-one situation with a professor, a really high up professor even, is a little jarring. I sometimes don't want to even just talk to my professors one-on-one. I would imagine being in a tutorial system where you're only learning from one person is it can be kind of scary at first.
It was so intimidating at first, but only for like the first half an hour. Then after that, you kind of get used to it.
You start treating them like
Most,
a real person.
yeah, most of the time they're just kind of like talking at you. Like, I don't know, my primary, like he actually used the whiteboard a lot, like explain a bunch of different, concepts. And then it was really neat because I could just like interrupt whenever,
Mhm.
ask for clarification, like on any like part of the lecture. Also, we kind of had free range to like, if we wanted to talk about something like really interesting we found in a paper like that he assigned, or even a paper like that he didn't assign, we could like bring that up and like ask questions about it. So it was really, unique for each student.
You got to kind of design what you learned. I think that's been the common
Yeah.
theme in a lot of the Oxford students that if they wanted to talk about something again or an extra week, they got to tell their.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, do you think your tutorial or your time in Oxford helped you with your time at PLU? Like coming back, do you think you're Zachary used
Yeah.
a better student, but I don't want to call you a better student now than before Oxford.
I think it kind of helped me focus on like really what I wanted to do in life, like the classes I want to take here. Because before I went, I hadn't really like thought at all about what I wanted to do PLU. I
Mhm.
kind of thought I wanted to pre-med just because that's what all the other intro bio students were thinking about doing. But then once I, you know, really had that chance in Oxford to like really study and like really look into like my interests, I kind of realized like, I don't think I want to do pre-med. I think I want to study like climate. So I think that's definitely helped me focus like where I want to study here at PLU as well.
Time in Oxford is very strange compared to like what you do here, because I've heard from a couple students now that Raven, who went a year before you, and Zachary, that only maybe like twice a week you meet for class, and the every other time is completely dependent on you, and like your own readings are done when you decide to do them and you write your own paper. You don't actually have a very strict schedule. Did you think you thrived in that situation, or do you think it was a little challenging?
I mean, it was definitely really challenging at first. But then once I kind of got like a hang of the whole situation, I kind of did better. I realized that I really could not like study in my house. So I definitely like took advantage of all the library space that was available and all the cute little, restaurants and cafes there to do my homework. And it was different for every single student. Like I know people in my house who like could only do their homework in the house and like hated the cafe environment. So yeah, it really depended on the person. But the work schedule is very manageable.
Okay. In the UK, is it normal to study in like a cafe or to do homework there?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very normal because there's so many around.
In France, you get yelled at. They tell you to leave. Yeah.
Really?
So I'm just wondering if other European. So that's interesting to think that another European country actually encouraged you to studying in a cafe. That's funny.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they were mad at me. Other people were there doing. Oxford's a very like college town, so they're used to having like a ton of the people there being students. So I feel like maybe Oxford might not reflect like the rest of
the
the
rest,
UK.
who knows? Did you have time to go anywhere else while you were in Oxford, or were you fairly busy and had no time to actually kind of maybe explore the rest of the country?
There was lots of time actually to
Oh.
explore the rest of the country. Like me and Emily just took a long weekend and just flew to Paris for fun. It's actually very inexpensive, like not very expensive at all, flights there and back. Yeah. I also took a trip to Scotland. I went to Amsterdam, Berlin. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know that there's even one of our more rigorous programs, there's enough free time to still be able to see a lot of different cultures and ideas. So I know the Oxford program has a couple study tours. Do you remember which ones, or do you have a favorite one that you'd like to talk about?
Well, the London one, we went to London a couple times actually, and that one was really cool. Strum got the author of one of the texts we were reading to come and give us a tour of all the historical sites that he was like writing about in his book. Yeah, that we got to read. Yeah.
That's
So that was insane.
You got to Wow, you actually got to meet an author
Yeah.
of someone you read. That's
And
really
then
crazy.
he just gave us a tour like around like a ton of yeah.
Hopefully not like a touristy tour. You actually got to see some interesting things.
Yeah. We got to learn about a bunch of the Black history of London.
Oh, I bet that's fascinating.
Yeah.
You don't get to see that side much in history books.
Exactly.
Back to kind of the tutorials, I'm personally planning on using hopefully my main tutorial to prepare myself for a capstone. Do you think your tutorial did that for you, or do you think you kind of get to like have an idea of what your capstone is now because of your time in Oxford? Did you get to like focus in?
I think, yeah, it definitely helped me like prepare for capstone. Like I wasn't really like necessarily thinking about capstone when I was there, but I think like in a roundabout way, yeah, it definitely helped because I know I want to study something about climate. And now I have like all the background and all the politics and all the policies. And like I know what other countries are doing around politics. And I can like kind of incorporate that into my capstone, even though like technically my capstone will have to be something more about biology rather than politics. But I think that background information will like be very helpful.
Yeah, you can't do a poli sci capstone for your biology capstone. So.
I know.
Shoot. I think one of the bigger questions that the Wongster always wants to ask is, how do you think study away impacted you? So do you think, I hate to use the cliche, but do you think you came back a better person after you studied away, or Do you think you grew?
I really hope so. No, I definitely think I did. Um, I mean, on the study abroad trips, you do really have to learn how to, function
Mhm.
as an adult in a world where I hadn't really had the opportunity to do that yet here. I was only 19, 20 when I went. But yeah, just being able to live in a place that's not America,
Mhm.
I feel like that really helped prepare me.
Having that like independentness in,
Yeah,
and I've heard that the Oxford program is a little more independent than others, so I would assume that you have to really sink or swim in that kind of situation. You
yeah.
have the time. Um, as we wrap this up, so I don't take you too long, do you have any like little stories, little fun things you'd like to share about your time in Oxford for a student that's thinking about going to Oxford or just thinking about studying away?
I do. So I joined the ultimate frisbee team
Mm.
there, which was really fun, actually. I recommend it for anyone, even if you haven't played frisbee before. Trust me, they'll let you join. They have a lot of newcomers come all the time. Anyway, we went to this one tournament in Birmingham, and all of the Oxford students, like in between our games, we would like have to be writing our tutorial essays because a lot of our tutorials were on like Monday, Tuesdays. So all of the other teams would walk by and see all the Oxford kids studying and would like make comments like, "Oh, how Oxford of you," like stuff like that. It was fun to be part of that cliche.
Mhm. It's like being outed as an American while you're studying away.
Yeah.
Instead of you're outed as an Oxford, well, Oxfordian. I don't know the right
Oxfordian. Yeah.
Oxford. That's definitely not. That can't be the right word.
I feel like it is. Oxfordian?
Oxfordian. Yeah. Hopefully I'm right on
Hopefully.
one thing. Um, thank you for your time, Autumn. This is amazing. I hope all of what you said could be shared for a future student. So have a great day. See you around.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.